Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Pisces moons, or if you just have significant Pisces placements in your chart and are needing a feminine energy to work with or balance within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Pisces, it's a really interesting one. There's a very playful energy that's coming through your reading today. I feel like it's not yours. I feel like it's kind of like an external influence of like somebody who's trying to draw you into a certain experience, perhaps in a very playful way. Because the way that the cards are coming out for you is kind of like the first three cards that we have here, the Tear, the Village, and the Dead End, which are really kind of difficult cards is how it's coming through. Because the Tear to me is kind of like either representing like sadness, or sometimes I see this card as separation. And the Village to me always talks about like having to leave a place that you're comfortable in, perhaps because you've outgrown it, or that like there's nothing left really here for you. So it does require a little bit of like having to leave this energy or this space because you've outgrown it, is kind of how it's feeling to me, especially with the Dead End, right? It's almost like asking you to go the other way is kind of how it's feeling. So that's sort of the energy that you're coming through with, though again, because it's a general reading, the energies could be flipped for you. The way I'm seeing it though is that whoever's watching this reading is the one who's in this energy, and there's a playful energy trying to draw you out of this place, right? Because it's like there's a dead end here. You're needing to go the other way is kind of how it's feeling like. And then the other three cards here are the Forest, the Vessel, and the Lover. And like this is so much more uplifted energy. But the thing about the Forest is that the Forest kind of brings in this energy of like the unknown, that there's a lot of potentially tricky energy in the Forest, but that if you are you keep your wits about you, there's a lot of potential growth here is what this is talking about. And I feel like it has to do with like the Vessel and the Lover, right? There's something that you desire that's inside this forest, but it's kind of like, because it's so vast, there's a vastness and I don't want to say shadowiness or darkness, right? Because it's not necessarily anything that's shadowy. It's just like there's not full visibility. There's a density here perhaps that's difficult to see through at first, right? There is sort of like a practice or like perhaps training or becoming accustomed to whatever this energy is. So that's kind of the overall context of your reading today. And then we also have this Animal card, which was at the bottom of this deck, which I will get into a bit later because it comes in a bit later, but this is the overall context, which is really interesting. So we're starting off here with the desert and the mountain, which is really interesting. So there's the desert, to me, always talks about an environment where there's not a lot of resources for whatever reason. And so whatever area of this whatever area of your life this is in, there's something about there's not a lot of resources here, which is why you're being asked to go the other way, or take a different, it's kind of feeling like a roundabout way, right? It's like there's some sort of resource perhaps that you're needing from the environment, but it's not providing that. And so this energy here is trying to get you to move around that, like go around or something like that, especially because it's coming through with the mountain. I'm seeing this as being sort of the other energy. They're coming through with the God of Synchronicity. Hold on, these cards are kind of slippery. So the God of Synchronicity, I'm seeing this as kind of like a friend, but it doesn't have to be, it could just be like a spirit energy or something like that. It doesn't have to be an actual person, though it could absolutely play out like that. That there's somebody here who's coming in as the God of Synchronicity who's encouraging you to follow them. It's like they're kind of in this mountain here waiting for you to follow them, or like saying come this way, or like it might not even be directly related to you. That's the thing. It might be something like they're doing something that's important to them, for example, right? It's like they're doing something, they need help, maybe they need your help with something. It's like, can you help me do something, right? And they're asking you, Pisces, can you come help me do this, right? And perhaps it might be a little bit of, requires effort on your part, right? Or it's just like they're trying to distract you from this energy, maybe, right? It's kind of like they're trying to just get you out of the house or like something like that. They're just trying to bring you towards them for whatever reason, in whatever way, or however that plays out for you. And I feel like you are, with this darkness card, portal for darkness, right? Like following them to the mountain, but having to go through the forest to get there is kind of how it's feeling, right? It's kind of like so it could be that they're at a distance, or there's a distant kind of energy. They're not quite up, like perhaps they're just like giving you like a call or something. Can you come and cross this big distance, perhaps, right? Like maybe they just live far away from you. Can you come and cross this big distance so that you can help me with something? It would require you to go through perhaps the forest, right? To leave something behind and go through the forest, because that's how I'm seeing this part here. And then also climb up a mountain, right? So it kind of feels like, because of all that energy coming in, it feels like it would take a lot of investment of your energy in some way in order to follow them. But with this portal for the darkness here, it does look like that you are, because today I'm seeing this as like you walking into this cave, right? Whatever that is. Or just following them through whatever this task is, which is really interesting. Because it's kind of like this is where either this, like, not that your paths separate, but it's kind of like each of you and this friend have almost like different things to discover within this mountain. So how it was coming through today, I reference this show so much, The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, but it was coming through with that kind of energy. If you've watched season 3, if you haven't, I'm so sorry for spoiling it, but in season 3, which is the most recent season, the main character of that show is obviously the Mandalorian. He has a significant relationship, like a friendship with another character whose name is Bo-Katan. So they're both very independent characters. So how this is playing through today is that for whatever reason, the Mandalorian has to go to, in the story, he has to go to the living waters of their home planet in order to cleanse himself. That's his motivation for going on this journey, right? He has to go to the living waters to cleanse himself. And then he asks Bo-Katan, who I'm seeing is you today, Pisces, can you come with me because I don't know the way, right? That's basically how they come together. And so she goes with him very reluctantly, I want to say. At first she says no, actually. She says no, but because he sort of gets into trouble, she ends up coming to help him. That's what this is. It takes a lot of effort on her part to go in this way, to actually join him on the quest or whatever. But when she does, this is what happens. You have here the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. So I'm seeing this as you, because it's a moon reading, the feminine energy, the Queen of Cups. You may also be resonating with the other energy, but I don't know, just fit yourself into the story however you see fit. I'm just going to explain it how I'm seeing it. So I'm seeing this as you, where it's like Bo-Katan's character, she follows the Mandalorian, right? The god of synchronicity, whoever they are to you. She follows him to the living waters. And he ends up like falling in and she has to like rescue him, right? That kind of thing. So she ends up having to rescue him. And so has to take a deep plunge into this energy as well, right? It's like she didn't intend to go back to that place or anything like that. But it's like what happens in that story is like when she goes down to rescue him, Whoa, that card just flipped out of my hand. She sees this, the animal underneath there. She sees this energy, whatever this is, the King of Cups. In the story, it comes through as being like the mythosaur, right? This like ancient and also mythical sort of creature that has a lot to do with the lore and the history of their culture is what this is coming through with. So it's something like that, right? It's like to sort of bring this back down into reality a little bit. You Pisces, it's like somebody's asking you to do them a favor, perhaps something that's not necessarily, it doesn't feel like it feels like it would be a lot of effort on your part, or perhaps there's a reluctancy to actually do it, right? Because it's like, it has nothing to do with you. And I feel like that's kind of the energy of what it feels like. It has nothing to do with you. But in a way, it absolutely does, because there's something here in this place, right? Like having to go and help somebody, perhaps, get out of a sticky situation. It reveals this, whatever this is, something that has to do with you. Absolutely. It's a match to you. And in a way is absolutely also what it is that you desire, is kind of how it's coming through, because Bo-Katan's motivation in that story is that she wants to sort of unite her people again, right? That's kind of what this one is feeling like. So it has to do with, it feels very much like an emotional challenge, let's say, or taking on emotional load in some way. But it's like what you'll see here is absolutely meant for you, is what this is feeling like, because in that story, it's like she has to go down and rescue the Mandalorian from the water. Like he like falls in really deep. And he doesn't even end up seeing this, because that's not his motivation. His motivation was just to go and cleanse himself in the water. So this has nothing to do with whoever this is, right? The friend who actually brought you to the place that you need to be. So the friend brings you to the place where you need to be, but it's like you wouldn't have gone there on your own, is kind of how that's feeling. But it's like this energy was what's calling you. Perhaps they were actually like working through your friend in some way. Like the friend had some sort of motivation to go to the same place that you needed to go, but you wouldn't have gone there unless unless there was a good enough reason, is kind of how that's feeling. Anyways, that's a lot of lead up to the next card to come out here. You have the Hanged Man, which I find so fascinating, because this is absolutely your energy, Pisces, right? The last time this card came out, it came out in reverse in another reading, where it was talking about like your world being flipped upside down, but when it does, everything starts making sense, is kind of how this is feeling. So it's like, and I'm seeing these as being almost the same, like a reflection of one another, because the next card you have here out is the God of Time. And what I love about these cards is like most playing cards, they have, like, you can flip them any way and it's still the right way up. That's how I'm seeing this today. The King of Cups and this Hanged Man, it's the same energy, just flipped upside down. And both ways make sense, is kind of how it's feeling. So it's bringing in a lot of energy of like reflections, right? The truth, obviously they look very different, but the truth is in the reflection, is kind of how it's feeling. I have no idea what that means. The truth is in the reflection. Hopefully that makes sense to you in some way, or I don't know. But what you have next here, I want to talk about this God of Time a little bit more, because I feel like obviously brings in this energy of like there was some sort of timing element that was necessary. So perhaps there was something like, because it could be something like there was something that you desired, right? Whatever the lover and the vessel energy is, something that you desired, but it couldn't come in until this friend of yours was ready to go in that direction, right? Because it's like your guides or whatever, the universe perhaps, knew that you would not go in that direction unless there was a good enough reason to. And I feel like that's what this friend is providing, like a reason to go to that place that you didn't want to go to, is kind of how it's feeling. So there was sort of this timing element, and I feel like this is where sort of it's becoming more focused on you now. So here we have the Enema Mundi card, which I'm feeling as being sort of like, this card talks to me about like accepting every single part of the journey as being a necessary part of the journey. So there may have been this sort of energy of like not like feeling perhaps separated from something, right? Whatever this village dead end energy is, feeling separated from something. Because in that story as well, when Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian sort of team up, she was actually separated from her regular group, right? The ones who were part of her crew but had sort of lost their way is kind of how it's coming through. Because I don't know, I feel like that's getting too much into it. Anyway, so there was this period of perhaps separation from those that you cared about, like whoever's the village is representing, right? Place where you've become separated from them or something like that. But that was necessary, I want to say, with this Enema Mundi card, because the separation from that group was what brought you and the Mandalorian together. Because otherwise this one never would have come into your space, or you would not have entertained their request, is kind of how it's feeling. If you were never separated from this group, you might not have entertained this one's request. It's kind of like you're humoring them. That's sort of how it feels. But it's like now that the two of you are teaming up, it's kind of like you've gone to this place that you needed to go, because this one had a reason for going there as well. It's like you were both meeting at a certain place, but you both have different motivations for being there. That's a really key difference. Anyway, so for you, we have here the portal for the beginnings, right? Which is really, really lovely. And then what's coming out next here is the Seven of Cups and the Five of Wands, which is so interesting. Because the Seven of Cups, so traditionally talks about sort of like having a lot of options, I want to say. Having a lot of options, but if you think about the traditional Seven of Cups, each of the cups has a different thing inside of it, right? And so sometimes I see that as like, what are you motivated to work towards or something like that? Like what your next choice depends on what is the most perhaps like urgent need, or what's the most, what is the thing that you want the most, is kind of how it's coming through. What's the thing that you want the most? Because with the Five of Wands coming out next, it kind of feels like there's a lot of options, right? There's perhaps between the choices that you have, a lot of them are coming up at the same time, is kind of how it's feeling. There's a lot of different, because if it's like, it's like, because if you have to like release the genie out of these lamps, right? Let's say you like touched all seven of these lamps to see which one would open up, right? To see which one would reveal its contents, for example. And then 5 out of 7 of them opened up. It's kind of that's kind of how it's looking to me, right? Like, so if it's like 7 different options, for example, 7 different potential paths you can take, and 5 of them seem very viable, is what that's looking like. But clearly there's one, right? There's one here. There's one option here that is a match to you, right? That has the same coloring or vibrancy, or like it just sticks out to you. That's the one. That's the one, whatever that is. But I feel like, so that's sort of telling me that perhaps you've made a choice, or that you kind of have to touch on a lot of different paths in order to see which one is going to reveal the right content, or the right flash, I guess, like the right flash of inspiration, because what you have next here is the Ace of Wands, right? The Ace of Wands, which is talking about new inspiration. I feel like that out of all the options that are being presented to you, one of you lights you up like this, right? One of you makes one option or one thing makes you really excited to get started on working with it or working on it or whatever it is. And then you have here the Sustainer, which I love so much, which is talking about, to me, actually talks about like doing all of the work in order to get something started, right? It's all of that sort of like the in-between of like creating something, the in-between from like getting an inspiration and then having a final product. This is actually working with it, is actually creating something, is what that's feeling like. And then you have here the Queen of Water, which I love so much, because it's all the way back to this, right? With the Queen of Cups. So much Cups energy, so much emotional energy in your reading today, which is really lovely, because it could feel like there is this kind of like having to go down into the depths in order to see whatever this King of Cups energy is. So I don't know what this is for you, the King of Cups, but if we're talking about like the story, the metaphor, it was perhaps a sign or like a symbol or a really significant call, perhaps, that what you want is possible. What you desire the most is absolutely possible. Not only is it possible, it's something that perhaps you thought was, on some level, perhaps something that you thought was impossible. It feels like something that was so like far out there that you didn't think it was possible on some level, even if like you really hoped it was. But this is sort of telling you, this is a sign that not only is it possible, it's like it's real and it's here, and this is the clear indication that that is true. Anyways, okay. It feels like a lot, but I have no idea. It feels extremely abstract to me. It feels like very, like, whenever I use these cards, it feels kind of like just very story time kind of energy. Anyway, so we have here the Five of Pentacles and the Three of Wands, which is very clearly like moving out of this place, which is kind of feeling like the desert, right? Like this is the energy of not having enough resources in whatever way, and then finding a way out of it. And I feel like this Emperor card, whenever this one comes in, it never feels like a person to me. It feels kind of like a, just a general, like, divine masculine energy. So it comes through with the energy of Saturn, right? Of like learning a really hard lesson and then doing all of the sort of discipline type behaviors, like self-discipline type behaviors that would allow you to get in a place that has what you want in it, right? It's like, it's a very much like putting in the hard work to do it, is what that's feeling like. So I feel this reading is so mystical, but I'm just going to leave it there, Pisces. If you're interested in the extended, we're going to talk about what else you may need to know about the situation. The link is in the description box below. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can also find my website in the description box below. If this message resonated with you, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.